Hey guys, how you doing? This is Abong. I want to just give you a quick message, just a few minutes of your time. I appreciate you being here. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're going to spend some time with me. I want to talk a little bit about Colin Kaepernick situation, and not necessarily what you think. I want to give you my thoughts on it, and not necessarily my opinion, but my thoughts, which are different. Sometimes they get confused, but there's a difference between thoughts and opinions. So in this particular case, if for those who aren't aware, Colin Kaepernick is a quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, and he's been protesting. He's doing a silent protest where he doesn't stand for the national anthem, and his stance is he feels he can't support the flag, which represents a country that either penalizes or doesn't take care of certain races and people of color. That's it in a nutshell. There might be some other nuances, but that's the main point in a nutshell. And again, and what you're seeing are either people who are widely supporting him, or you're seeing people who are grossly against him. And you see all sorts of, whether it's racist rants, people online, people talking crazy, some people who are famous talking crazy, people who are not famous, but people supporting him, people who are not supporting him. And this is the thing about this country. And then now the discussion has shifted towards military. And you got to understand something very simple. What we're forgetting more than anything else, this is what people are talking about, but what we're forgetting more than anything else is that what made this country great was the idea that you could protest silently anything you want to protest. It doesn't matter what it is. There are people who picket their school board, who picket schools, who picket businesses. You can do whatever you want. And to say that Kaepernick's protest should be done in a different way is disingenuous to the cause. The goal is to be able to protest. Protesting and freedom of expression and speech was so important that it was the First Amendment that was added to the Constitution. Why? Because back when the U.S. were just a bunch of colonies, 13 colonies with a bunch of people who left England, the monarch didn't allow them, the king of England didn't allow them to express themselves and to say what they wanted to say. And so generally what would happen is if you spoke out of line, you spoke ill of the king, most likely they end up taking your stuff, killing you, and doing some horrible things to your wife and to your daughter. And this happened a lot, to the point where this was really important to them, that became the First Amendment in the Constitution of the United States. Now, there are other things too, and don't come on here with don't reply with specific points. Just, I want you to get the overall gist of what I'm saying. This is not supposed to be a constitutional debate. The point is, the intention of why that was there was for that particular purpose. The freedom, as long as it's done peacefully, the freedom to be able to protest. Now, there's a few points. There are people who are saying, I don't like what he's doing, he should do this instead. Well, that's your truth. And you have to understand, a protest to somebody is different than a protest to yours. You may not have the same experiences. When somebody chooses to protest something, a lot of times it's coming from their experience, something anecdotal that has occurred to them, or something a cause they believe in. And it's up to them to show their response in a way that makes sense, that they're getting the point across. It has nothing to do with you. When somebody protests, it absolutely has nothing to do with you. And the thing is, because I love this country, now, I emigrated here from a different country, and I've spent time in other countries where if you speak ill of the government, if you go online and speak ill of the government, they come to your house and you disappear. That's it. A white van comes and they take you and probably take the rest of your family. And then in some places, they just kill everybody in your bloodline. Can you imagine that? Complete eradication of your last name. I've been to North Korea. I've been to Iran. I played basketball in Iran at a tournament. I played basketball for a humanitarian tournament 16 years ago in North Korea. Actually, 17 years ago. I've been to China. And China, the internet in China is still restricted. There are people in Russia who are disappearing and being murdered with radiation and other assassinations that are happening because they speak ill of the government. You have to understand what it is. The very thing that this country fought for the freedoms for somebody who you disagree with to be able to share their opinions and their thoughts, as long as it's done in a peaceful way, is exactly what they should be doing. And to not do so would be absolutely disingenuous. Because you disagree, it's fine. And you have the right to share that on social and everywhere else. But what you should understand, though, is what takes away from your argument is when you decide to argue ad hominem. So this is a logical fallacy. Ad hominem basically is a logical fallacy where you attack the person delivering the message and not the actual position. Does that make sense? So here's a simple example I like to use. You meet a guy who's a murderous felon, okay? And you ask him what's 2 plus 2, and the guy says 2 plus 2 equals 4. Rather than attacking the position that maybe he's right, that 2 plus 2 does equal 4, you attack the fact that he's a murderer and he's doing all these bad things, and everything he says, everything that comes out of his mouth is bad. You have to understand that where he's coming from has nothing to do with the answer to that question is a fact. Everything else is ancillary. It's nothing to do with the fact that 2 plus 2 equals 4. So let's apply this to Colin Kaepernick. People are attacking Colin because he's not a good quarterback. He's good at quarterback. He's this, he's that. He's not really black. Maybe he's black. It's irrelevant. All of that is irrelevant to the argument. There is a fact that there's a perception, especially in this country, where people of color aren't really being policed at the same levels or equal levels as people of other races. That has been decided and agreed upon between lots of groups. Now, how you solve it is a completely different issue. That's not the point of a protest. That's not the point of anything. It's to get that conversation going. Whether you talk about Muhammad Ali, whether you talk about the two gentlemen who put their fist up at the national anthem during the Olympics back in the 60s, regardless of what it is, the right to protest, the right to the freedom of expression, the freedom of speech, the freedom of assembly, all of those were instilled in this country for a reason. And you should be able to support a person's ability to stand up for what they believe in, or in Colin Kaepernick's case, sit down for what he believes in. And you may not agree with it. And there are a lot of things that I don't agree with. But I will always agree, as long as I'm a citizen of this country, I will always agree with a person's right to protest, as long as it's done peacefully, it's done in a manner in which you can share your ideas and your thoughts and have healthy debate. I'm seeing people on my Facebook timeline, I'm seeing people online and other places just running their mouths, speaking recklessly, saying rude and ridiculous things, calling him names. You don't like the country, you can leave. You know what? They did that in the 40s and the 30s. You know where that was? That was in Germany. Those are the types of countries back then who literally, if you didn't like what most people said, they ran you out or they threw you in some type of prison camp. I've been in countries where that happens on a regular basis. And to this day, 2016. And a lot of people who are running their mouths most likely haven't traveled and spent. I don't mean travel for a week or two on vacation. I mean actually live or ingratiate yourself in the culture and see how people act and how they really live their lives. And if you haven't been in any other country, it's very hard for you to see perspective on why things are happening the way they're happening. Whether I agree with Colin Kaepernick or not is irrelevant. One thing I do agree and one thing I do support is his ability and his freedom to speak and to share that. And it's no one's right. I mean, it's your right to have your opinion. But for someone to say this is not the right way to protest, it's not your fight. If it was your fight, it'd be a different story. Especially if it's done peacefully, I'm all for it. I'll even support people who I disagree with, whether it's the KKK or nationalists or whatever. They have a right. They have the same right that we all do to be here and to protest, as long as it's done peacefully and it's done in a manner in which nobody gets hurt and you can have the debate of ideas. Whether, again, I don't have to agree with you. That's what makes this country great. It's a confluence of ideas that come together and people can share and talk and debate. Again, 40, 50 years ago, there were people who didn't agree with Civil Rights Bill. They didn't agree with African Americans having the right to vote and be treated as equal. I mean, we have to have a healthy debate as well. And if someone didn't decide to sit at a counter that was for all whites only, or didn't decide to march to other cities, who didn't decide to have sit-ins, who didn't decide to do a lot of other things in a peaceful manner that disrupted the peaceful existence of the country, I wouldn't be able to be here today in the manner in which I am today, doing the things that I'm able to do in the country that I love being a part of. Just remember that.